Hi everyone, Alva Psych here. I have a video for you today that's entitled Overemphasis on Safety Means Kids Are Becoming More Anxious and Less Resilient. Information that I'm presenting is taken from Simon Sherry, clinical psychologist from 2023. And I'm also taking information from a book called The Coddling of the American Mind by Lukianoff and Haidt from 2018. Okay, this is for informational purposes only. Some of the information will be taken word for word. Other information, I'll paraphrase or maybe even throw in my own 2 cents. So, there's been a rise in anxiety and depression and suicidal ideation among young people. That's been occurring, and this has been occurring before the COVID pandemic. So, uh, what has changed in the last decade to explain this rise in mental health issues among youth? Some psychologists point to the recent cultural emphasis on safety as a contributor. Okay, parental overprotection has been shown to foster unhealthy coping mechanisms in children. Okay, overprotection, and we think of like sometimes helicopter parents, things like that. So overprotected children are more likely to both internalize problems, as in terms of anxiety and depression, as well as externalize them in terms of delinquency, defiance, substance abuse, things like that. So again, some psychologists propose that overprotection can morph into what they call safetyism, okay, which teaches kids negative thought patterns similar to those experienced by people who are anxious and depressed. So safetyism can over prioritize a young person's safety to the exclusion of other practical and moral concerns. So it's natural to want to avoid problems, but avoiding things that bring us discomfort can reinforce a belief that we cannot handle certain issues. If I always have to, avoid any level of discomfort, I'm teaching myself I've got to avoid it. I can't deal with it. Over time, this makes us less capable. Okay, so there's something to be said to being able to deal with uncomfortable situations. Okay. Now, in terms of like strategies for dealing with anxiety and OCD, things like that, one of the strategies is learning to face anxiety producing situations and learning to tolerate uncomfortable situations rather than avoiding them. So you don't want to run from a phobia, for instance. You want to actually face the phobia, deal with the phobia. You run from the phobia, you just basically intensify it where it makes it more difficult to deal with later on. So, according to one of the authors, comfort and physical safety are boons to humanity, but they also bring some costs. So we adapt to our new and improved circumstances, but then we lower the bar for what we count as intolerable levels of discomfort and risk. Put ourselves back in the past couple of 100 years, and what the average person had in terms of comfort was pretty different than what we typically have now, at least in terms of Western society. So one of the recommendations is seeking out challenges rather than eliminating or avoiding everything that feels unsafe. So you free yourself from these cognitive distortions, rather than always trusting your initial feelings and take a generous view of other people and looking for nuance rather than assuming the worst about people within a simplistic us versus them morality is one particular strategy, as opposed to, thinking like, okay, there's always something around the corner that's going to happen, or, there's always some sort of situation that's going to arise, even though the likelihood of that situation arriving can be almost nil. So, I think hopefully this makes sense. I mean, as parents, we want to protect our kids. On the other hand, we don't want to overprotect to the point that our kids pick up on our own anxiety to the level that they become anxious and fearful and don't even want to attempt to walk around the corner. Um, so something to think about. The book, The Coddling of the American Mind, I really liked the book. It'd be a good read, whether or not you're a parent, just to kind of get an idea of how maybe we've kind of oversensitized ourselves to even some of the smallest little infractions that we might face, during the course of a day. Okay, so that's it. I hope it was helpful, and talk to you later.